Hello there, TikTok. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are just getting set up here. We're streaming also to YouTube, so I'm going to be looking in a couple of different directions while we're going. But I want to thank you for tuning in because today we are going to do a belting class. So if you've watched my videos, then you have seen my video on how to belt. It's a 3-part series, and today we're going to be going a little bit more in depth with that so that you have all the information. I want to encourage you to write comments, ask questions, because I will be taking questions. Also, if you're tuning in on YouTube, feel free to ask your questions in the comments here as well, because I will come back and answer your questions in both TikTok and on YouTube. So also, some other housekeeping stuff. I'm going to be putting some links in my YouTube description. So if you are on TikTok, you can check me out on YouTube. There's a link on my profile that'll take you straight to my YouTube. Also, you can just look it up. I'm Sing Without Limits on YouTube. I'm going to be putting some free links in the description of the live on YouTube for some freebies, some things that you might want to pick up to help you more with your belting, with your singing in general. So you're going to want to make sure you check that out. And also, I do have something that I'm starting that will be happening next month on the second Saturday of the month, starting every second Saturday of the month. Next month is the first one. I'm going to be doing something new, and I'm going to be talking about it a lot today. So if you're interested in it, I would love for you to type either on YouTube or here on TikTok, just type #TellMeMore. So #TellMeMore, and I will reach out to you privately with the information once we have it. We're expecting to have the information about it fairly soon. So we just don't have all the details of it yet, but I'll be describing it, what we're going to be doing on second Saturdays. It's an opportunity for you to get some more personal one-on-one coaching feedback from me on the second Saturday of every month in a more private setting. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and type #TellMeMore. Let's see. What else do I have to tell you right now? Oh, well, I am visiting my parents right now, so I don't have my normal background and I don't have my piano here. So what I do have, which I hope you will find entertaining, that I'm going to use as best I can. It's definitely not in tune, but I'm going to show you the first piano that I ever got. And I even wrote my name on it on the back. I wrote Katie's on the back when I was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. So I'm going to show you this cute little tiny piano. So this is what I'm going to be using. Let's see if I can show you where I wrote my name on the back of it. Can you see that? I marked it. This is mine. You can't have it. Wanted everyone to know that it was mine. So we are having a make it work moment. We're going to be using the crazy little piano today to do our belting class. So again, feel free to ask whatever questions you have in the chat below, either YouTube or TikTok, however you're tuning in. Ask any questions you have because we will be answering questions at the end of the class. So this is my How to Belt Belting 101 class. So if you have never belted before, this is going to be really helpful for you. If you have seen my videos and they've been helpful, but they've raised some questions, this is hopefully going to clear some of that up. And ideally, you're going to be able to do things with your voice that you didn't think you could do before. So I'm really excited to share this class with you. It's one of my favorite things to teach, although anyone who's been in my world as one of my clients knows I tend to say that about everything. So, so it's not surprising to me that this is my favorite thing, but belting really is up there. I've been doing it for, gosh, 25 years, I think. I got a classical start, so I was classically trained, and I did that for 8 or 9 years. And then I moved into contemporary singing, and I was very, very reluctant. So if you have a classical background and the idea of this is completely terrifying to you, know that you're not alone. I've been there myself. I understand how scary it seems. I understand it's totally different. A few warnings. We are going to sing together, although I'm not going to get to hear you, but the people in your house will. So here's what I want to let you know. We are going to be loud. I already let my parents know because, like I said, if you're tuning in late, I am staying at my parents' right now. And if I let them know that it's going to be loud in here. So if you need to do that, just take a moment and be like, hey, it's going to be loud. So what is belting? If you know what belting is, I want you to just give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a yes, anything in the comment. Just let me know if you know what belting is, if you've done it before. Go ahead and let me know in the comments whatever you think. If you're not sure what belting is, you're in the right place. Let me not just tell you, you're in the right place if you think you know what belting is, or if you do know what belting is. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you're like, I don't know, I know it, I think I know it, yeah, I've got it. Let me know where you are when it comes to belting. We're going to be talking about what it is, what it isn't, and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it a little bit more deeply than I've been doing it in my video series that you've seen on TikTok or here on YouTube as well. So let's first talk about what belting is not. So it's very, very common for people to think that belting is your chest voice. So I want to get that out of the way right now because most people think that belting and your chest voice are the same thing. They are not. So your chest voice is actually only part of the classical singing technique, and it's very limited. It's characterized by the only way that you can be in a chest voice is if you have a raised soft palate. And let's talk about what that is. If you yawn in the back of your throat, like, oh, do you know how dark that sound is? Oh, that's because in the back, my soft palate, you'll see the uvula in the back. For some of you, that uvula will disappear when you raise that palate. For some of you, it'll just kind of get smaller, but it goes up. And you create this huge space in the back. When that soft palate is raised, what happens is it blocks off the passageway into your nose. So it makes it so absolutely no sound can come out of your nostrils when that soft palate is raised. Why is that important? It's important because if you are singing in a raised soft palate, it means you're going to have breaks in your voice. It means that when you sing from that strong, chest voice kind of place, as you get higher up in your singing, you're going to reach a place where you can't do it anymore, or where you shouldn't do it anymore. And we'll get into that. Your voice will break and crack. And when it cracks, it goes into what's called the head voice, which is another part of the singing, the classical singing technique. So if we have that raised soft palate, that is a head voice. You can hear that that's very different than the chest voice, but both of them have that same kind of space in the back of the throat. Yeah? Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you so far. We've got more going on, but let me know, does that make sense? So with that raised soft palate that's creating a chest voice or a head voice and the breaks in between them, know that the only place in your voice that you're going to have those breaks is in that classical technique, in either your chest or your head. That's where the break exists. When you are in contemporary singing, none of that applies. The break goes away. You're not in your chest. You're not in your head. It's all in a totally different place. When your soft palate, like I said, it raises and blocks off the passageway into your nose. And what that does is it creates those two different places. It's called the chest voice and the head voice because when you lift like that, it's making it so that your sound is either resonating in your chest or it's resonating in your skull, bouncing off on your skull. We'll do some things so you can feel that. Actually, I'm not wearing the right kind of shirt today for that, but I like to feel skin when I do that. But we'll be checking that to make sure you can feel it vibrating in your chest when you are in your chest voice, and that you can feel it vibrating in your skull. And I'll tell you how to feel your skull in a little bit. So, so that is the only place that exists. Now, your chest voice, whether you like it or not, whether you can sing past this point or not, is not relevant. A lot of people have stretched their chest voices higher than they're meant to go. But for safety purposes, for the purpose of not damaging your voice, your chest voice is only meant to go so high, which is the A above middle C for women and the F sharp above middle C for men. Period. I didn't make this up. It is just physiology. So I've heard a lot of feedback on that recently. It's just the way it is. So in order to sing with strength and power past those notes, which aren't very high, that's when we get into belting. And belting uses your voice in a different way, where you don't have breaks and there's no risk of going high, which means you can keep on singing high. Yeah? So let's let me know in the comments. Does that make sense? Are you feeling that? Are you getting it? I see someone saying yes, that makes sense. Awesome. That's great. That's good to know. This is a key part to understanding belting, is really understanding that point, because otherwise you can do it wrong and you can damage yourself. And I don't want you to damage yourself at all. Vocal health is my #1 priority. And I want to make sure that when you're singing, that you are being able to use your voice to the fullest capacity rather than limiting yourself. And contrary to what you may have been told, what you may believe, singing in a chest voice or a head voice limits you. And it puts you in danger if you're a contemporary singer. Now, why doesn't it matter for classical singers? How does your voice know the difference? Well, your voice doesn't know the difference. But in classical singing, it's accepted and known that you're going to sing in your head voice. When you think of opera singers, you don't think of them being powerful and rifftastic way up high, right? You think of them being in this head voice, this powerful head voice way up high. The females anyway. Males have a brassier chest voice. That chest voice goes higher in that opera sound for baritones. Tenors actually are utilizing some belt when they are singing opera, which is fascinating to me. But tenors are their own little world in the classical land. So in contemporary singing, like I said, you want to be using the techniques that are taking the breaks away. When you take away the breaks, not only are you not worrying about, oh my God, I'm going to crack, but also you're not worried about damaging yourself. So that's why belting and mix, which we'll cover another day. Today is all about belting. Those two techniques take those breaks away, give you so much more flexibility to do so much more with your singing. And so that's what we're going to be learning today. So, are you ready? Let me know in the comments if you are ready to get started. Let me know. If you missed my introduction, we're going to be I am visiting my parents right now, and I didn't have my keyboard with me, so I brought my childhood piano, which is definitely not in tune, but it is something. So hopefully you can laugh with me about it. That is what we are going to be singing with today. So first, before we sing in our belt, I want to do a little bit of classical singing, because I want you to feel what classical singing feels like, because when we get to belt, we're going to do nothing like it. I want you to know what the difference is between the two. Because that, I find, is one of the biggest problems that singers have, is they can't tell the difference between being in one resonance or the other. So I want to make sure that you know the difference between being in a classical technique and being in a contemporary technique. So let's first do some foundation work. So I want you to relax your bellies. This part, foundation work, which I consider breath, support, and connection. Foundation work applies to absolutely everything. It doesn't matter what kind of singing you do, your foundation has to be in place. So first we're going to take a nice low breath down here. If you don't know how to do that, the most important thing is that you want to relax your belly as much as possible. And I'll tell you, I was about 2 years into voice lessons before I realized I was still holding here, because most of us make a habit of tightening here all day long. And one day I was bending over to turn on the faucet of the tub and I felt my belly drop and I was like, oh, that's what she means. Right? So if you're holding there, sometimes lying down on your back is a really easy way to relax your belly because it just naturally is relaxed when you lay down. So we're going to relax that belly. We're going to take in a nice low breath and we're going to let out an SH, like we're telling everybody around us to be quiet. You're going to try to make that breath last as long as possible. And you're not going to deflate. So I don't want to see you doing shh, right? And I don't want to see you go shh, right? So let's use all that air. Ready? So let's take in a nice slow breath. Good, let's do that again. Awesome. Hopefully that calmed your belly muscles down. Next, we're going to do some support work. So your support is one of the most crucial parts of singing, whether you do classical or contemporary. Your support is one of the most important pieces. You want to think about, and it is also completely different than breath. A lot of times you'll hear people use the term breath support. I don't understand it. It's actually breath and support. They're not one thing. They're two different things. So what we just did was our breath. So our support is what allows us to protect our cords. It's what allows us to sing with a little bit extra power. It's what allows us to extend our breath for a little bit longer. And it's what allows us to maintain the center of pitch. So if you have any kind of tendency to sing sharp or to sing flat, being grounded with support is going to help you to stay in the center of pitch. So how do we do it? I want you to imagine that I punch you in the belly, which obviously I can't do through my phone. But if I were to punch you in the belly, what kind of a sound would you make? My guess is that you'd make a sound something like, huh, right? So if you're thinking about that sound, we're going to simplify it and just make it huh, like that, so that we have plenty of voice in our sound. The next piece is, we were just talking about how a lot of us hold our bellies in all day long. Guess what? You get to do it again. So you get to hold your belly in while you sing, as long as you relax it to take a breath. So you're going to relax your belly. You want to think about your belly being relaxed when you take a breath and tucked when you make sound. Okay? So this exercise goes like this. You're going to say huh, and we're going to take a breath in like this. Huh, huh, huh. Right? So do that with me. So you're going to do 3 tucks. Notice that I relaxed my belly in between each one, but I didn't take a breath, right? Like this. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah? Let's do 4 of those. So we'll go ha, 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 ha. Good. Let's do that again. Ha, 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 ha. Any of you doing this with me? Is this new for you? Let me know in the comments if this is new to you, if you've never done this before. You want to think again about making this tuck, holding this tuck every time that you make sound, relaxing it every time you take a breath. As I said before, when you are in this tucked position, you are protecting your cords. You are extending your breath. You are giving yourself some natural power without having to strain, and you're helping your sound be in the center of pitch. So pretty big things for singing, right? So let's do a few of these with singing with my crazy first baby piano. All right. Doesn't that sound crazy? So we're gonna go. Hopefully you can hear that. Oh my God, it's so funny. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go. Ha 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 ha. And for now, we're gonna be in a classical place. So I want you to think of lifting, which I did a pretty bad demonstration of that just now. So we're gonna think about lifting. Oh, like a yawn. And it's gonna sound, if you've never done this, it's gonna sound really stuffy. Oh, right? So we're gonna go ho 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 ho. Right? I want you to tell me in the comments, what does this feel like when you are making that sound and making this motion in your belly? Tell me about that. This is just cracking me up. All right, so let's do another one. Ho is your note. We're gonna keep that nice lift in the back. We'll go ho 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 ho. Let's see what it looks like. Let's go this way from the side. Ready? So we go ho 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 ho. I hear someone saying it's like I'm trying to cough. Okay, well, it is. You'll hear that in me too. I'm still fighting that little last bit of tickle from my COVID adventure. You might feel some of that if you're dealing with any kind of sickness. I always say try to resist as much as possible letting any kind of cough come out. It's interesting also that you might feel like you're trying to cough, because what happens naturally without you having to do anything, your body innately supports your sound when you cough. So it's interesting to me that you said you feel like you're trying to cough, because this is what happens when your body coughs. It's also what happens when your body laughs and when your body sneezes. If you've ever laughed so hard that you feel like you just did a whole bunch of sit-ups, it's because this is working for you automatically when you laugh to protect your voice when you're laughing. Interesting, right? So let's do a couple more of those. Over here. This piano is just cracking me up. So let's go back to our little place. We're gonna go ho 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 ho. Right? Now, you may be thinking, how on earth does this connect to singing? Because my belly is going in and out and in and out and in and out. What on earth am I going to do with that, with my singing? So I'm never ever going to ask you to go, Mary had a little lamb, right? Because that's insane. And you're definitely not going to be Mary had a little, because you will pass out, right? So, but what we will do instead is we will relax our bellies. We'll take a breath. Mary had a little lamb, and then whenever you run out of breath, you relax your belly, take a breath, and then sing the rest of it, right? So that's how that works. You remain tucked when you are making sound. You remain relaxed when you are breathing. So all of that is just foundation. So we spent a lot of time on foundation, but it's really, really important. We're going to do one more little exercise that I always recommend my singers do, because it helps to make sure that that breath and that support are working together properly. When they're working together properly, you will be able to do this exercise. So sometimes people have a hard time performing this exercise I'm about to teach you. Usually what that means when you can't do it is that you're holding your breath. You're holding your breath while you're singing, which I know that sounds absolutely insane, but it is possible. A lot of people hold their breath while they sing or while they're talking. So in order to avoid that, I make sure that singers do this regularly just to check in on themselves, because you cannot do this if you're holding your breath. So you've probably all seen this exercise before, but you're going to flutter your lips, or I call it buzzing. So you'll go like that. So we're going to sing on that. So we'll do I also recommend that you don't clench your teeth. Keep some space between your jaws and put those lips together around it. So you'll go. Yeah, we'll do that again. Take a low breath and you're going to tuck while you do that. We'll go up. So this always makes me itch right here, all that vibration. So I always give myself an opportunity to do a little scratch there. I have a former client who used to do this while she did that. And she said that it kept that vibration from happening there. That's never worked for me, but I thought I'd share it just in case it's helpful to you. So now that we've got our foundation out of the way, we've done our low breath, we've done our support, and we've done our connection to make sure that everything is connected. Before we move on, tell me in the comments what questions you have about that. If you have questions about what we've done so far, if you're not understanding it, let me know in the comments. I want to hear about that. And then we're going to do just a little bit of singing in our classical, so staying in that classical place before we move into belt, because I want you to know what it feels like when you are in a classical space so that you can feel how different it is once we go to belt. And so you can feel what your body is capable of doing. So we're going to just do a couple of these. Okay, I see some questions. Does this also apply for singing lightly? The foundation piece, Bedroom Rockstar 89, you're asking, does this also apply for singing? I'm assuming this is referring to foundation. Yes, it applies to everything. It doesn't matter if you are singing contemporary or if you're singing classical. It doesn't matter if you are loud or soft. All of this foundation applies. With regard to being loud or soft, belting is going to be loud, just in case you missed my memo on that. So we're just going to do a few of these because I want you to feel it. I don't know that I feel like we need to be super exercising this, but so we're going to say ni. So you're going to be sliding all the way up and all the way back down on this. And I want you're going to be passing through icky breaks on the way up and on the way down. And that is the whole point. In the classical technique, we use this to help strengthen both sides of the break, right? Because in your classical technique, that classical voice, that break is never going to go away. The only way you make your breaks go away is by switching into contemporary and either belting or mixing. So, which we'll get to. So for now, so we can feel what that feels like, we're going to make that big yawn space in the back, which we said blocks off that passageway into the nose so no sound can come out of there, which allows that sound to resonate either in the chest or in the head. So first we're going to feel that. First we're going to do this exercise and then we will feel the difference between being in your chest versus being in your head. So we're going to say me, yaw, ee, and you're going to slide up and slide back down like this. Did you hear I very delicately passed through that break? So let's do that together. Ready? A low one. Again, who knows if this little sucker is in tune. So yeah, we're gonna do one here. I can't play the top note because there just aren't enough keys on this tiny little thing. So we're gonna go. Yes, that's better. We're gonna go. Yeah, try that with me. We're gonna breathe low, tuck in. Awesome. Awesome. Let's do a couple more of those. Do you hear how different my vowels sound than from when I say ni-ai? Ni-ai, right? That's what you want when we're in a classical space. Yeah? So, talk to me. Tell me what that feels like. I want to hear from you. I feel like I can only sing loudly if doing the tummy tuck thing. I love that. I love that story. It does add, as I said, it adds an extra little bit of power, an extra boost of power. I'm going to tell you this little thing that I always tell my singers, but I always feel like that piece, that little power that your support system gives you, it reminds me of when I was little, old enough to have had this as a serious toy. When my brother and I used to sit at the top of the stairs on our butts, and I have yet to meet a human being who does not know what this is like. So we would sit at the top of the stairs on our butts, and we would go down the stairs, and as we went down the stairs, we made a sound. And as we hit the next step, we would go, It made us laugh, which is why we did it. But that initial impact of hitting the stair caused your voice to sort of jolt forward in power, right? We weren't doing, we weren't creating, manufacturing that sound, right? It was happening because of hitting the impact of the stair. The same happens with this tuck, with this support. When you are supporting from here, it is giving your sound a natural boost of power without you having to do anything extra here. That helps protect you. And you can feel that if you just go, you can feel it, that it just gives you some extra sound, and nothing different is happening here. It's happening here. And we do that because even though these are pretty freaking amazing, they're tiny and they are capable of damage. Where these guys are used to doing all this work. They're used to taking the bulk of the work of things. And so utilizing that in your singing allows you to have more sound, just really with only doing this kind of effort, no vocal effort whatsoever. So I love that. So I'm glad you're experiencing that. Okay, now I want you guys to, now that we've done that little exercise and you've felt that difference of, or that feeling of being in a classical space, I want us to feel specifically what it feels like in our chest and specifically what it feels like in our head. So if you are unlike me and you have the ability to slip your hand in your shirt where you can feel some skin on your chest, you'll have a better experience than I will. So we're going to lift in the back. And you want to think about having a flat tongue always, regardless of your palate is lifted or lowered, but a very soft palate. And you want to think about having a flat tongue. A big yawn kind of space in the back. And we're going to make that sound kind of like we're a bear. And I want you to go, like that. You can feel that boom in your chest. That is a chest voice. If you were to go, that is a chest, right? That is a really strong, booming chest voice. And it's created with that space, like we said, blocking off that passage into your nose. If you are in your head voice, I said that the sound is resonating in your skull. And the only place that you can feel your skull on the outside is your teeth. So we're going to make a sound like we are cheering for our favorite team. I only have one favorite team, and it is the Chicago Cubs. Let me know if you're a Cubs fan. So it's my only sport. I'm not sportsy at all. So if you take your thumb and you put it on your lower front teeth like that, then we're going to make this sound and you'll feel it vibrate on your thumb. So we're going to go like, woohoo, but we're going to, ooh. So you don't want to be like, woohoo, right? You have to be, making that yawn space, right? We'll go, woo, and you can feel it vibrating all over your teeth. You can feel that on your thumb. Let me know if you felt that vibration on your teeth. So that is your head voice when it vibrates here on your thumb. And this is your chest voice when it vibrates here. Both of those are created from that lifted soft palate in the back. Again, that lifted soft palate creates that chest and head, which have a break in between. And that break is there on purpose. A lot of people will say that their break is in a different place than where it is physiologically supposed to be, because a lot of times people stretch past it, which is dangerous. When you stretch past it, you are putting yourself at risk for vocal damage. So I say this all the time. Men, that limit for you, I don't feel like we should rely on this piano that I got when I was 3 or 4. Yeah, I don't know. It's F sharp above middle C is for men. That's the highest you're able to be in a chest voice without causing damage. Now, just because you can sing in your chest voice higher does not mean you should. Bad. That's very, very bad. You can cause lots of pain and problems and damage to your cords. With female voices, it's the A above middle C, which again, I just am reluctant to rely on this thing, but it is providing me some kind of basis for something. So you don't want to stretch past that. If you don't have perfect pitch, you don't have the ability to know once you've hit those. So that is another reason I recommend not using chest voice or head voice, so that you can take away those limitations as well as many others, and use belt and mix, which we'll get to later, instead, because they're going to give you so much more flexibility. So let's belt already. Yes? Okay, so if you watched my video, you know what is coming. I'm going to make you feel a little bit silly first, and then we're going to sing. So I will start by telling you, besides the fact that you're going to feel silly, what I'm going to ask you to do with your nose technically has no bearing whatsoever on your belt or your voice or anything. What we do is we're going to scrunch our noses up like this. So you're going to look really cute, right? You're going to scrunch up like this. And the reason we do that is because we talked about that raised soft palate with classical. When you scrunch like this and you think about widening your face like this, it's really hard with this face to also make a yawn in the back, right? It's really hard to do all of that and extra cute. So that is why we do it. So it's for your protection, because you don't want to accidentally lift in the back, especially if you're someone who has been lifting in the back the whole time. If lifting in the back is what you do, you're definitely going to want to do this. But I tell everyone, do this until you know that 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 you're here and not here, right? It's more important that it is done correctly than it is to be done pretty. So today we're going to do it correctly, and we're not going to care at all about being pretty. And in another class, I will teach you how to make it pretty. But today we're just going to focus on making the sound correctly. Okay? Deal? Say deal in the comments if you're with me. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to scrunch up our noses. We're going to pretend that we are about 3 years old. And we are mad, right? Somebody is really mad. Somebody took something from us and they ran off with it far away, and we are not happy about it, right? So we're going to scrunch that nose up and you're going to say, hey! Now, here's what I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear a nice little scrunchy nose and hey, right? Of course, I'm not really going to hear anything. I don't want you to hear that, right? If you're going, hey, you're not doing it, right? No, this is going to be loud, okay? Hey, because here's the thing. Whether you're a toddler or an adult, if someone, like for me, if someone ran off with my purse, there's been a whole lot of comments about that, right? Somebody ran off with my purse. I am not going to yell across a park or a parking lot or whatever. I'm not going to be like, hey, that's mine, right? That's absolutely insane. I would never do that. I also wouldn't go, hey, that's mine, right? Because that sounds absolutely idiotic, right? No, I would go, hey, right? That is belting. Belting is singing in your calling voice. So when you think about, you can't call in a kind of way, right? You have to get it out of your body. And it's not going to be in this, stuffy kind of place, right? It's going to be just where it is when you speak. Something else that we didn't do that I want to do really quickly is another check to make sure that you are not raising your soft palate. Like I said, when it's raised, it blocks off the passageway into your nose. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, we're going to pick a note. Let's do this one. Right? Nice and high note, right? So we're going to lift in the back like a big yawn. Right? If I make that sound and I plug my nose, the only way you're going to be able to tell that I'm plugging my nose is by looking at me, because it's going to sound exactly the same, right? So, right? Now, if I instead say, hello, my name is Katie, because I'm not doing that, right? If I say, hello, my name is Katie, and I plug my nose, hello, my name is Katie. It's very different, right? Hello, my name is Katie. Hey, hello. You can totally tell, right? Even if I sing this note without lifting. This could be really pretty. Just want to warn you. So, you can tell, right? You can tell the moment that it's in here. And that's because of that soft palate, right? So when you're belting, you do not want to lift it. You want it to come out here. And that is why we scrunch, because it's really hard for us to want to lift accidentally in the back when we're doing this, right? So, yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, so we've just said, hey. We're going to say a few more embarrassing things, right? So someone's over there. We're yelling at them because they just took our favorite toy, because we're 3 and we're mad, right? Scrunching and whine to say, hey, right? You say that. I like to add a little ya at the end because it's sassy. So, hey, right? Say, no fair, right? Because it's not fair, right? No fair, right? And say, remember, we're doing this too, right? That's mine, right? Let's say all of it together. We're going to scrunch. We're going to breathe and support right here. So we're scrunching. We're wide. We say, hey, no fair. That's mine, right? And then another one I like to throw out, no, right? Because little kids love to say no, don't they? Right? All right. So again, if you are saying, hey, that's not right, right? Also, if you're going, hey, we don't want that, right? Hey, so it's just going to feel like your speaking voice, only louder, right? Because belting is singing in your calling voice, and in this case, speaking in your calling voice. So let's sing like that. So we're going to make that beautiful face and that beautiful toddler sound, and we're going to sing, okay? With my little toddler piano. Kind of perfect now that I think about it. So we're going to go like this. So it should be pretty nasal. Yes, it should. Especially today. This is what I call baby belt, because until we know that we know that we know that we know that we are doing it in the right place, it's going to be very nasally and very bright and childlike. So we're going to stay on hey because that's a pretty easy one. I like hey for a couple reasons. One, the A vowel is probably the best one, the easiest one to go high on, especially in the beginning. Also, it starts with an H. And anything that starts with an H is going to make it easier for you to connect to that low breath and tuck. So that's why, just in case you were curious, why I like an H. So we're going to go like this, scrunchy and wide and loud. Low breath and tuck. We're going to go, hey. I'm an octave higher and nobody wants that right now. We're not there yet. Hey, hey, right? Try that. Ready? Hey, good. Hey, you see how I'm doing this? Hey, 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 hey. So I should scrunch my nose when I actually belt. Yep, you should, just like me. I know it's cute and it's loud. Hey! Again, we don't care about pretty today. And just, remember, mine is being recorded and yours is not. Ready? Hey! 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 In case this piano is remotely somewhat in tune, the bottom note that we just did, the bottom note, not the top one, is that male chest break. Hey! Hey! This is the female one. Hey! This bottom note is as high, again, I have no idea if this is accurate on this piano, but in our chest, it's the highest you should ever go. So I just say, just skip it all together and do a belt. Let's go here. Hey! So, if you are familiar with notes at all, what we just did, that high note there was an F. It was the F. I always forget which octave is which. But there's the middle C, and then there's this F, and then there's the other F that's up there, right? We just did that in a big booming voice like that. So if we were to do that in our classical, in the head voice, that's how high we just belted. Up there. We had a big, huge booming voice up there. There is no fatigue happening here, and probably not for you either if you're doing it correctly. Now, something that you may have done, you might have done, hey! Do you hear how I kind of like wimped out on the top note there? I call that cheating as long as we're trying to belt. But what it actually is mixing. And we'll do mixing another lesson altogether. I don't even want to get into it today. But it's another contemporary technique. Note that whatever kind of mix or mixed you may have heard of is not what I'm talking about. So when that happens, a lot of times it means that you're a little freaked out about being that loud, that high. I get it. Like I said, I had 9 years of classical before I came into this, and I was like, yikes. I am not doing that to my voice. That's going to damage it. The only thing that damages is if you're lifting in the back. So go for it. I have a client who said the best thing ever to me. She said, because she was afraid to, because she came to me having years of classical under her belt, and she was a little nervous about belting high. And she finally said, you know what, Katie? I think I figured it out. Belting is like a big middle finger to your nerves, because you can't be nervous about belting high. You either can belt or you can be nervous. And I totally agree with her, because as you get higher, whether you're in classical or contemporary, as you get higher, more volume is required. So as you get higher, you're going to need to make more volume and know that it's going to be loud, and it's probably going to scare you a little bit, right? Because it's unfamiliar. Also, this is where I hate talking about this in a first belting lesson, but I'm going to say it. It's possible that you need to make more space in your mouth. I do not mean lift. Do not, under any circumstances, lift. When I talk about space, I call it mouth space, which is everything forward of your molars. So if you think of that, this kind of space. So as you get higher, like here on this one, do you see how big my mouth is, right? And yes, once you know that you know that you know, you can work on making that prettier. But in the beginning, I don't care about any of that. I just want you to be big and loud and sound like a 3-year-old. Okay? Awesome. Questions. I know I'm seeing some questions, so I'm going to see if I can scroll through here. How do you avoid mixing there? Okay, I just talked about that. Hopefully that answered your question. Yes, being heard scares me, but I want to be heard. Yes, thank you. I had a voice teacher a long time ago. This is kind of gross, but he said, especially as females, we are raised to be quiet and to, cross our legs, be quiet, keep our mouth, a lot of us are raised that way. And so sometimes being loud is hard. It's scary. Belting can either scare you more or it can liberate you. And I know for me, that's what it did for me, because I really thought that belting was not something that I was going to be capable of doing because I was a classical singer. And I will tell you, in my class that I learned how to do it, I was the only one who could do it. And then I had a client 10 years later. This was fascinating to me. I had a client 10 years later who was in a school. She was a music ed major. And at her school, if they were in the music program, they were not allowed to go off campus to have voice lessons with somebody else. But one of her friends was an actor, and she was taking lessons with me and learning how to belt. And she told her, she's like, you have to go. I know you're not allowed, but you have to. And so she came and I taught her how to belt. She ended up leaving that school and she ended up going where I went to school in New York City. And she had my same teacher. And in her whole class, she was also the only one who knew how to belt. And it's because she learned it from me. No one else in the class knew what was going on. They were like, how? And she called me after. She was like, I don't understand how you learned how to belt from this person because what you taught me is so different than that. But I have always been someone that technique didn't come to me easily. And I was lucky enough when I was going to school my first year to live somewhere that had a piano inside. And so on the belting lesson day, I went home with my music books and I sat at the piano for like 8 hours until I figured it out. And once I figured it out, I never unlearned it. And it's because it is, a lot of times I call it a switch. That soft palate is very much like a switch. When it's up, you're in classical. When it's down, you're in contemporary. That's really a whole lot of all you need to know. When you're belting with this lowered soft palate or neutral soft palate, because your soft palate is neutral when it's lowered. It's its natural place to be. You can either be loud like this or soft like this. If you're loud like this, you're belting. If you're soft like this, you're mixing. That's really all there is to it. And it's very simple to understand in your brain. Sometimes there's a lot of freak out that comes with doing it. So that's why I'm doing these classes, because this stuff is so important. Because if you can keep this kind of technique in your singing instead of the chest voice stuff, you're not going to wear out. I have a client who came to me because he wanted to learn how to, he was in a band and he wanted to be able to sing 3-hour sets. He wanted to be able to book wedding gigs, and you have to be able to sing for 3 hours. And he wasn't able to do that. So he came to me. I was doing a vocal health case study at the time. This was back in 2018. And by the second lesson, he had learned from me how to do this, and he was able to sing without as long as he wanted, as loud as he wanted, without feeling any consequences whatsoever. Because that's what this does when you're doing it correctly. He then went on to win a national singing competition for his first time ever. Then he won the world competition for his first time ever. After that, he recorded an album of his own original music. And his studio engineer asked for my contact information so that he could thank me for teaching him this, because he said never has he ever had someone in his studio who could sing for 8 hours a day, 7 days in a row, full out, and have no consequences. That's how powerful this stuff is. If you don't know, I actually wrote a book about it. My vocal method is in the process of getting a patent. It's called Unlimited Vocal Health. And I have a book. You can get it on my website, which is neverloseyourvoice.com. I have an ebook version and I have this paperback version. And it talks all about the ins and outs of my vocal method. There's all kinds of freebies peppered throughout the book as well. Also, the videos on my channel have loads and loads and loads of information for you. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope that this makes sense. I want to talk to you about something else, because if you are going through this and thinking, I need more, I need to know more, and what I need most is to know if what I'm doing is accurate. I need to know that what I'm doing is correct, because I don't want to hurt myself, right? What I'm creating. So you'll just want to drop in the comments below, drop hashtag tell me more. And then I will reach out to you privately once I have all the specific details of it. But on the second Saturday of every month, starting in February, I'm going to be offering something called Second Saturday Masterclass Series. And what that is, in the singing world, if you don't know. So the term masterclass has come to mean all sorts of different things. But in the singing world, what a masterclass is when you are meeting with your entire studio of people that are studying under the same teacher. The teacher comes to the class. There's no lesson, but the teacher comes and each individual person in the studio gets private time with the teacher to get feedback on what they're doing. And I'm going to be starting that. There are only going to be 20 spots available. Like I said, it's going to be on the second Saturday of every month, starting in February. If this is something that's interesting to you, it's just a monthly fee. So it's you don't have to do it more than what you can do 1 month. You can do a whole year. You can do 3 years. It doesn't matter. It goes month to month. And you get to come to this class and get my one-on-one feedback. You can ask questions. You can sing for me and I will give you my feedback. It's going to be 20 people. And so once we fill up with 20 people, there won't be any more slots. We'll go to a waiting list. And that way, anyone who drops out, doesn't want to continue, will go to the waiting list to fill those spots. So you're going to want to get in on this if this sounds like something, and I'm going to make it very affordable, something that anyone can do, right? Because I want this to be accessible to you. So if you're interested in knowing more, type hashtag tell me more. And once I have a place for you to sign up or get more information, I will send you the link to that, which I'm expecting to get, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. We're going to have it all ironed out. So let me know what questions you have right now in the comments. And again, if you're interested in that, you can go hashtag tell me more and I'll reach out to you privately with the information about that. I'm going to go through here. I'm going to look on YouTube and see if we have questions. I don't know what that says. Oh, also, I'm going to tell you, you can get to my YouTube from here on TikTok, or you can just do a search for Sing Without Limits. In YouTube, I'm going to be putting links in the description to a whole bunch of awesome freebies that you're not going to want to miss out on. So make sure that you go to my YouTube so that you can get some of those freebies. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to be filling that in with all of those, the description and with all those freebies. So you're going to want to make sure you go over there. Again, my YouTube is Sing Without Limits. Also, if you know how to do it from TikTok, you just go to my profile and the little icon that looks like Instagram will have a direct link to my YouTube. So I'm going live there right now as well. So you can watch me there too. And those of you that are on YouTube, I will be dropping those links as soon as we are done here so you can get those free resources. I'm going to take a moment and see if there are any other questions on TikTok. Talk about that. Talk about that. Is it possible that you are just someone who can't belt? No, it's not. If you can speak, now some of us speak in what I would consider more of a mix, and I'll do a demonstration of what that sounds like. So speaking in a mix is more like this. Do you hear like the voice? It just sounds very different. It's still kind of the same, notes that I'm speaking on, but it's not as powerful of a sound. And this is a belt. So most of us speak in a belt. Some people speak in a mix. So whichever you are, doesn't matter, but you're capable of belting if you are capable of speaking. So that's what I always say. Anyone who can speak can belt. Usually what keeps people from doing it is fear. So that's why I wanted to share that story with you from my client who said, oh, so I have two choices, belting or being afraid. So, and that's why a lot of times having a coach is helpful, because a coach is someone who can help you be like, you know what, you got this and you're doing it right. As long as you're not lifting in the back, you're not going to hurt yourself. All right, it's helping me to actually visualize the sound coming from my teeth, not my nose, if that makes sense. Hey, whatever works for you, as long as you're not lifting, that's all I care about. So this, the teeth is what when we were feeling our teeth, that was our, woo, woo, our, what I call our Julia Child voice, our very important lady voice. Oh, very important, right? Woo, right, our sports cheering, woo, right? That's where we feel that in our teeth. But sometimes, sometimes I always say, I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 80s. For Halloween, we had these ridiculous costumes that had these, I don't even know what they were made out of, foil, I don't know, some kind of weird masks, metal, I think, or I don't know what they were. Anyway, they had a little elastic cord, they were awful. But you could take it and pull it off and like snap it back on your face, right? That's sometimes what I feel like is happening when I'm belting. I feel like my face is like out here. So in that way, I understand what you're saying. So yeah, whatever helps for you, I think that this is super helpful because it's keeping me from doing something wrong. Yeah. All right. Don't lift soft palate or larynx. So a lot of people ask about the larynx because there are schools of singing that talk about the larynx. I don't ever worry about the larynx. I worry about the soft palate because the larynx will do what it's supposed to do when your soft palate is doing what it's supposed to do. So is it normal to have your voice feel tired the first few times, even if you aren't lifting? Okay, sometimes, yes. So sometimes you're going to feel tired because, especially if you have a pattern or a habit or a history of doing it incorrectly, the first time, even if you're doing it right, your body may still feel pain or fatigue just from like, oh my God, that was a lot. Also, you may not be used to making that kind of volume that long, but you're not going to feel like tomorrow, you're not going to be like, oh my God, I don't have a voice, right? That's not going to happen. But you might feel, because it's new. It's just kind of like when not that I'm speaking from experience, but it's kind of like when you go to the gym and you do a workout, and this part I do have experience with. It's been months and months and months or years since you've ever done that. And you come home and you're like, right? You did everything right, but your body isn't used to it, right? It's kind of like that. Your body isn't used to making that kind of volume or being in this kind of space for like in that kind of intensity, but it's not going to hurt. Hurting is what we care about, right? All right, yay, I made it. Thanks for responding to me. Oh, hey, yes, no worries, you're welcome. Thank you all. This is really great. If anybody has any last minute questions, please go ahead and ask them. If you are interested in knowing more about my second Saturday masterclass series, I will tell you more about it privately once I have all the official details. And it is just type hashtag tell me more and I'll reach out to you with the specifics. I'm not seeing any more questions, so Oh, here we go. Are there more? Okay, Katie P. Hello. I can't tell. Oh, okay. So we got some of those. Thank you for judging my singing. You're very welcome. I'm feeling telling we did that. Is it possible for a male to go above a G5? Absolutely. Do you mean belting? Do you mean singing? Doesn't matter. You can, yes. I'll just say yes. So when I'm belting and I cover my nose, the sound should stop. Yes. Yes. Well, not stop, but it's just like, when you talk and it's it's coming out. It's obvious, like you can feel it under your fingers. It doesn't stop. It stops if you're like if you're making sound with your mouth shut. Okay. Great. Awesome. Are there ranges for belting that you can't go past? No. No. The way that I gauge range and whatever for belting is if it, once you learn how to make it sound pretty, if it stops sounding pretty, then I switch to a mix and I do a really cool trick with mixing that I made up. It's called Mix Like Belt, and I'll be teaching you that in another class once we really get the hang of belting. But Mix Like Belt allows you to fake people out, and it allows you to sound like you're belting in the stratosphere. But what it really does is it allows you to sound pretty up there and without having to belt, because sometimes belt, as the higher it gets, is ugly. It just sounds way too toddler for everyone's personal preference. So that's usually what I say about range and belt is once it's starting to sound like questionable, then yeah, you might want to switch to something else. But you don't ever want to sound like what I say, what your stunt double came in. Like you don't want to be like, and then, oh, right? Because then that's ridiculous. And that's what mixing is for. So we'll get to mixing another time. How can I better have breathing support? So I talked about this a little bit earlier. Breath and support are not the same thing. We did a little bit. There are some videos on my TikTok page that deal with breath and support, and I would recommend that you check them out. The breath one, I think it's called a breathing hack or something like that. And then the support one is called I Bet You Aren't Doing This. So I would check both of those out. We also did that at the beginning of this, but I don't think these record, although it is on YouTube. So I think YouTube saves it. So you can check it back. Okay. Sweet. I'm so glad. I'm so glad this is helpful for you. That is my whole reason for doing this. Like I said, I created this method and wrote this book about it, all because I lost my voice while I was working professionally as a singer, and it was devastating. It was painful. I had to put myself on vocal rest for almost a year. I had to break a contract, which was very expensive. And it really changed my life because it forced me to figure out why this happened to me and how to make sure it never happened again. And I've been teaching people how to do that ever since. And 100% of my clients for the past 20 plus years have experienced the same results I have, which is zero voice loss and fatigue. So it's the real deal. If you're interested, again, I would invite you to type hashtag tell me more, and I'll reach out to you privately with that information the second I have it so that you can decide if that's something you want to participate in. So have a fantastic evening, everyone. I'm gonna go have some dinner because I'm hungry. All right, I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you out in TikTok and on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.